going. Hello everyone, I'm Jira. Welcome back to more of this. Today I am a shuckle because I made this. Yeah. I seriously did. I crocheted this shiny shuckle. So this is my talks piece. I have meant to do this a lot sooner, but you know how things go with me in my life. And so finally I get to do some artwork and you get to watch. I haven't decided if I'm going to record every single thing in real time or if I'm going to record it and speed it up. This is just going to be kind of a tester. This is my first time trying this out, obviously, but I'm very excited to finally record using the art supplies from the Jazza box. I did do some practice with them so I would be more familiar and not just, oh no, look at all these mistakes, you know. But yeah, I have not touched this. I haven't put anything in this. The only thing I've done is I created a drawing of a Dungeons and Dragons character. I have never seriously played Dungeons and Dragons. I had like a one-shot that I did in college, but I've never been able to continue with a group. And this year I'm finally getting to do that. And so I thought it would be appropriate to actually draw my character so that I could get a better feel for her and actually know what I want her to behave like instead of just up in the air. So I have already sketched her and drawn her on cardstock, but I haven't put her in here. The only thing I did do was I used my light board, which is here. It's very nice. It plugs in through USB to the computer and it lights up very bright, and that's why I didn't record that. Because, it was awful when I tested it. But yeah, so I wanted to record the process of me actually putting something in this sketchbook that came with the Jazza box. And so it'll take me a bit to figure out the best way to adjust this so you can see. You'll have to pardon me for a second there. Well, I'll just hold it up for the moment, I think. Anyway, as you can kind of see, I have drawn a cat person. In Dungeons and Dragons, the cat people are tabaxis, is what they're called. They're not a common... Let's see if I can... You'll have to forgive me for that. Okay, there we go. That's a little better. They're not a common player character race. Most of the time people play the standard ones, but thankfully my group of friends that I'm going to play with, they don't mind doing a little bit of homebrew, and I really wanted to be a cat person, and my dungeon master really liked the idea of me being a cat person, so I'm a cat person. And to show you proof that I did indeed draw this and not just find it already somewhere on the internet and traced it there, I have my process, which essentially mimics what I do on the tablet, but it was so much, drawing on a tablet is so much easier to me because I'm not very confident in poses and perspective the way that I want to be. I know I still do a good job, but you're always your worst critic. And so when I'm drawing on the tablet, I can just scritch all over the screen however I want until it looks right. And it doesn't matter how many marks I make on the digital paper, it doesn't ruin the paper because it's digital and it's layers, and I can use tons of different colors to sketch in, and then I can hide layers, delete layers, add layers, however I want, until I create something that actually looks right. I discovered that I'm probably better suited for maybe 3D modeling than taking a 3D thing and flattening it into 2D, but I don't really have the ability to do that on a computer right now, but like, yeah, anytime I'm doing something, I'm always like very much aware of how it looks in 3D space, but I have a hard time making it smushed flat and looking correct. And so, whereas like, if I had it in front of me and I was sculpting it, I would have everything better and easier to me. So, when I sketch on the tablet, I do a lot of that similar stuff, however I can best do it, where it's like, okay, well, here's this, here's this, here's this. I'm doing a whole lot of feeling around. If you do that on a piece of paper, you ruin the paper. And so what I did to get around that was I had several pieces of paper to mimic my layer thing. And so like I started like this, which was me just being kind of, I don't know what pose I want to do. I was going to pose her, and then I was like, wait a minute, I just need to design her, because I have no idea what she looks like. And it's easier to draw someone in a pose if you already know what they look like. So I ditched that, and then I went to this. This was me. So yeah, haha, you can laugh at some of the placements of things, but this was me just sketching and feeling out the proportions of her, how I wanted to present her, like what kind of like style I wanted to do, just rough. You know, there's a lot of feeling around and stuff, and you can see all the scritchies. I do most of that really easily on my tablet, but yeah, so I did this, and then from there, I did this, which the way that I did that was using that light board in order to mimic like having a second layer on top of my sketch. That way I could still keep this thing as a guide and not over layer the paper and all that stuff to where I couldn't like make sense of what was going on. But I basically had this, and then I put this on top, and I had the light board underneath it, and it helped guide me to this. And then you'll notice how I folded it in half to help me make sure that proportions were looking right. And I used the light board again to help with that, because some stuff was looking kind of wonky on one side. It always does that with me. So I did that one, and then from here we have this. And so this is this was me tracing what I liked about this one, using the light board again, and then inking it. So that was how I did it. I know it's a use of a lot of paper, but that's how I'm comfortable with getting stuff done. Otherwise, it's never going to move past this. Like, because I'm too... I just have too much going on in my head and too much criticism for myself. And so I did this, and I thought it was pretty clever in order to make what I like about my tablet be back into physical. I need to get more comfortable with physical drawings. But again, I overwork the paper. It's just what I do. And so this is how I worked around it. So yeah, I did indeed draw all this, and then since I now have this finished line art, what I did next was I scanned it so that I could print out copies of it for practicing on coloring. Because one thing that I really like that I didn't ever really do before, I was watching some artists on YouTube, and they do color mock-ups, and I really should do that, because you end up regretting if you don't. You'll color something and you'll be like, oh, I should have totally done that, and then you don't want to draw it again. So from now on, anytime I'm going to sketch something physically instead of digitally, I am definitely going to do color mock-ups. And is it more in-depth than what some people do? Yes, but it works for me. So I printed out several of these, and it turned out I didn't really need a whole lot of them, because I liked what I was doing pretty quickly, and I kind of had a direction of what I wanted. It was just a matter of coming up with this character's fur pattern. I named her Katrina, and The reason I did that was so that her nickname could be Cat. Yes, it's a little on the nose, but her backstory is that she was adopted by humans, and after discussing this with my dungeon master, of course, to make sure everything was cool, as far as how he wants to tell a story, etc., we decided that tabaxis, since there's no information really about them that is useful for this kind of stuff, we decided that tabaxis start out like regular cats when they're kittens, but then they eventually stand up on 2 legs instead of 4. And so Katrina was found by humans when she was little, and so they thought she was a regular cat, and that, you know, sometimes humans, instead of naming a pet and a name that sounds like a person, they'll name like their dog Spot. You don't really have people out there named Spot most of the time. So Katrina was a way for her parents to have named her something that was still a name, but they call her Cat as a nickname. And then as she was growing up as a little toddler, she stood up and then she said, "Mama!" And then they realized that they had adopted a daughter instead of a pet. So that's the quick of it. So the main thing I needed to do was come up with her pattern, and so I have this sheet where I did some color testing, and so I started over here on this one because I always start on this side, where I was kind of feeling out what I wanted her to be. I knew I wanted her to be a calico. I did look up like a whole bunch of calico prints on like of actual calico cats online to try to kind of get an idea, and I decided I didn't really want to do the tabby print. I wanted to go more towards the just solid colors, splotches, and I decided I wanted her to be kind of pastel. There are some calicos out there that aren't your black and orange. They are more of a gray and a light orange, or even kind of almost a yellowish pale tan. And so I decided on that, and so this was me feeling out her pattern markings, deciding that I didn't want to do this, deciding on how I wanted to do her feet. I tested out her clothing here and stuff like that, decided whether I wanted light eyes or darker eyes, and then I came over here, and I decided on this. So, and then I have all these notes about, like, how I created these colors. So hopefully doing this in my sketchbook will go well. I haven't done this, like, I did not do this recently in terms of my life. I did this before Christmas, like in the beginning of December, and it's been a month. So yeah, hopefully my notes are good. I do have some paper to test on some stuff, in case I can't remember anything, and I've been rambling a whole lot, so I am sorry about that. I did take some time to design some embroidery for her, which was, I didn't realize that I was going to go this in depth, but I really wanted, I ended up deciding that her personality is based on me more or less, because since I'm new to D&D and I didn't want to think too much about what my character would do versus what I would do. I wanted to give myself a little bit of easy ground there. And so she's a bard, and you'll notice she doesn't look like a bard, like a stereotypical bard. And that's because if she's me, I don't want frilly stuff. I hate clothes that get in the way. I really do. I've been wearing dresses more frequently now, but that's like, it is literally a dress that I just slip over my head over top of some leggings. It is essentially a very long shirt. It's not a dress that I have to zip up, button up, or whatever. It is very comfortable, very lazy dress. And the reason I'm wearing them is because they're comfortable and also look pretty. Comfort before pretty. Always. Better if both. So I would not wear the frills and stereotypical clothes a bard would wear in D&D, and so neither is she. So she's got on some actual, like, adventure attire. Of course, she's going to have a dress for performances, but that's like in the entertainer's pack or whatever of your equipment. And so this is what she's wearing normally. And it was looking very plain. And so I decided that the details that were frilly were honestly just embroidery designs on her gloves and on her shoes. These are the example of typical tabaxi shoes that I could find that other people would draw. And I like it because it protects most of her feet, but it still allows claws to come out at the bottom so that she could climb. So that's nice. So I started with like kind of getting a rough idea of I wanted a flower on her gloves, and then I ended up deciding I should put a music note pattern into the petal because that would be very bard-like. And so I eventually drew this. This is a close-up of one of those petals, and I'm very proud of it. And I do plan to figure out one day how to turn this into an actual embroidery file, because I want to make something with this on it. Because when you're all done, it looks like this. I think it's really pretty. Ignore these little lines. That was just helping guide me to make the leaves. But I think it's really pretty. I'm really happy with this. And so I will put that also, a finished version and color version, in my sketchbook, but I probably won't record that because that's really like kind of tedious work in my opinion. And I decided the main colors of it are, let me see, I have the paper. I have the paper somewhere. I have a test paper that I did for it. I may have put it away. But it's basically going to be like a light lavender, a light green, and then the center is going to be kind of a pale tan. And that's about it. Like, it doesn't need to be too many colors, just simple colors, but a lot of detail. So, there we go. That's my process. Now we get to hopefully do a good job of putting it in my sketchbook. I am not going to do this whole thing for every single thing I do in here, as far as all of this level of detail, but I really wanted the first thing in my book that you turn open, and I even like skipped a page because the first two pages are always kind of glued together, and so I was like, eh. I wanted the first thing you see in here to be awesome, because I'm trying to be serious about all this stuff. So first things first, we gotta ink this. And I believe I used the 0.4 pen from the Jazza box, the fine liner graphics. I don't know if it'll focus on it or not. I believe that's what I used, but just to be sure, I am indeed going to test it. I have a piece of paper to test on. Where is it? I also have my reference card. So I have my reference card of like all the different things from the box. Oh, here it is. So yeah, this is where I was test coloring a whole bunch of this. So it's gonna, I decided on this one where it has the lighter color, and then the just purple. I don't know if I'm gonna stick with that dark of a thing. That was me mostly just messing. So you can't really see that. But yeah, here's my test stuff. So now is the moment of truth to figure out, let's see, this is the number, this is the 0.2. That might actually be what I should use. Yeah, that's too thick. Okay, so I used the 0.2, not the 0.4. And that makes sense, because this is a small drawing, relatively, so. How am I gonna make this work? Can I zoom in? Can I zoom in? I'm not sure how long this will be. You gonna let me zoom in? Zoom in. Zoom. Move over. I don't know if it'll, okay, well, it will let me do that. And then, let me see if I can. Is that gonna put like a really big I think that's going to put a really big thing on it. How do I get rid of this? I don't think it's going to let me zoom in because it's going to put those, markers, the little guidelines on over it, because I don't have software that works very well with this, so I am sorry about that. Let's see here. Can I make it to where I can see better and you can see better with the light? I think that's about as good as it's going to get. So anyway, so after I sketch something, of course, I want to do the little line art so that I can solidify it. Oh wait, I have no idea how the markers bleed. So just to be safe, let's always put something behind here. Just so that if it does bleed, it bleeds on the paper and not on the next page. Okay. Also, yes, I do indeed hold my pen funky. I said funky, not the other word. I hold it weird. I've always held my pen like that. My brother holds his pen like that. It's just how I do. But yeah, I got this weird little going on. I know a lot of people are like this, which is hard for me. So, I need to have this nearby. Also, I'm curious if this will make it better for you. I guess it does. I guess it does make it better. I always want to illuminate this area, but currently that's not the way I have it. It's not good, so we'll do this then. That way we don't have any potential flashings of stuff while I'm like shaking the table accidentally. I don't mean to do that. Let's see. I always like to outline all the tiny details first, just so that in case you're watching and you don't know what this is an ocarina or ocarina. I say ocarina. I'm not sure which is correct, but Katrina plays that as her primary bard weapon. Instrument, whatever. It's a weapon. And the reason she uses that is, one, obviously I like Zelda, The Legend of Zelda, and so, of course, I want to pay, tribute to that. But two, I actually have an ocarina, and I want to learn to play it, and I haven't gotten around to it. And so I thought, hey, maybe I will actually do something about that. Now, I did get a smaller, so I've had this one ocarina for a long time that is in the shape of a rupee, and it's so beautiful, and it sounds so beautiful, but it's kind of big, and I've worn it a couple of times with the intention of wearing it and practicing with it, but then I got super paranoid about breaking it. So, I did end up getting a smaller one that instead of being in the key instead of being an alto ocarina, I have a soprano one now that is much smaller. It's still a necklace, but it's much smaller, more like this, maybe a little smaller than that in proportion to me, but I'm a lot less worried about breaking that one. So maybe now I'll actually practice. That's the goal, at least. The difficult thing is, though, finding people that actually know how to read music properly that also play ocarinas. Because I know how to read music. I'm not, good at reading it on demand, but I know how to read it. I did that. I did it for chorus, and so it's not like I was, playing it, but we had to read for chorus, and so I know what all the notes are, and I don't need to have, once I know what the notes are on the ocarina, I don't need to have a note chart for every single song. But that's what most people do, is they have a fingering chart called tabs for each of the songs, instead of just having a consistent, well, this is C, this is D, this is E, this is F, etc. And in my researching of songs and scales, so that I know what notes I'm playing, there's a bit of an argument going on about if you're in the key of C, which is my ocarina, it's in the key of C, it's a soprano. There's a bit of a discrepancy about which notes are, how each note is played. And so that's annoying, because I need to know what the correct note is so I don't sound screechy, etc. Because some of the notes do sound a little bit screechy, not because I'm not blowing correctly or anything like that, it's just because of how high they are. And maybe it doesn't sound so screechy to somebody else, but it does to me, and it definitely does to my cats. So I need to take time with my mom, who plays piano, and figure out, when I put my fingers on these holes in this combination, what note is that? I could do it myself with my keyboard, but I want Mom as a second opinion to be sure, because it might be that I'm hearing something funky. Who knows? I don't typically have pitch problems, but I don't know. It's always good to have a second opinion, especially from someone that's played music for eons versus me, who, I sing it. I learned how to play the piano when I was 5, and a lot of good that did me because I forgot. I mean, I can still sit there and puzzle out, like, how do I play a Zelda song on the piano? I can do that, but I can't just sit there like my mom does. I need to practice, etc. But I figure I want to do the ocarina first because it'll make me happy. And I can toot toot my flute for the D&D session. I don't think I can move this up anymore, so I apologize on that. For when I get down to the feet, you won't be able to see very well, if at all. Hey, kitty kitty. I hear you. I hear my littlest one. His name is Frisk. He doesn't really meow, he just goes, the little purr chirpy thing that they do. I did indeed outline these again, the little zippers, with something, but I'm not going to worry about it because of how small it is. Yeah. Still going to outline it with this black first. I don't know how long I've been. Okay, it's only been 34 minutes. Help! Hey, you two. Y'all need to get along. Don't be bickering. I'm recording. Frisk likes to play. He is technically an adult. He is over 1 year old, but he's small and he's definitely still playful. And I have an old man who's not an old man, but he acts like an old man, and I don't blame him. Talos. Talos is 7, going on 8, something like that. I think he's 7. And so Talos likes to sleep. Frisk will come up to Talos and be like, hey, play with me. And Talos is like, no, I'm sleeping. Loki's a little bit like that too sometimes. In both senses. Sometimes Loki comes up and is like, hey, play with me. And Talos is like, no. And then sometimes Frisk goes up to Loki and is like, hey, play with me. And Loki's like, no. I would play with you, baby, but right now I'm recording. I'm sorry. Well, now Talos ran off, so maybe he's playful. I don't know. They all play. Like, Talos doesn't just sleep, it's just he likes sleep a lot. Talos will run up and down the hall really fast and chase his own tail and murder something by scratching it. There we go. See? Sorry, the camera's doing a shaky shake because I bumped it or something. I'm not sure what. It is sitting on a table that is not the table I am working on, so I'm not sure what happens when I do bump it. I made sure to not put it on the table that I am more likely to move, but I don't know. Okay. Yay! Now let's see. What else did I do? Is there anything else that I inked? Yes, her eyes. Her eyes they were inked with this and not a marker, so. Yay! Alright. Now, I'm going to let that dry for just a second. And what happened to my eraser? There it is. Jazza eraser. Also, I have this, which is the kneaded eraser that I love. This has been working really good. The Faber-Castell, not dust-free, but it says dust-free. That is a lie, as I said before. It's not as bad as some, but it still makes a little peely thing. If you want truly dust-free, you need to get yourself a kneaded eraser. The little rubber eraser. I mean, if you bear down really hard, you can make it have little peely things come out, but the cool thing about those peely things is you can stick them back in the dough. So, let me see. I think that's all I need from there. And I'm going to put this over here. I think I'm going to cut the video here for the second so I don't overload my computer with problems, because, you know, and then I'll start back up. So, here is the line art of Katrina in my sketchbook. Did it bleed? I think that was no, it did not. No bleeding. Yay! No bleeding. But that's not really the true test. The true test is the alcohol markers. But yeah, I'm not sure if I will clip the two videos together or what. So just in case I don't do that, I'm going to say bye right here because I'm already at 40 minutes. And if I don't put them all together, I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye!